Right now, it kind of is, but only because so many conservatives are following Trump. So, like, your populist, anti-populist thing kind of maps on kind of cleanly to the left and right. It doesn't work with progressives, though, or the far left, because they're also anti-large everything. So, in a surprising way, on very, very far left people, you might find them having a bit more in common with kind of like a MAGA Trump supporter than like a center-left liberal. So, for instance, like both of these groups of people on the very far left will be very dovish on foreign policy, probably a little bit more isolationist. They're not a big fan of like a ton of immigration or a ton of trade with other countries. They might think that there's a lot of institutional capture of both government and corporations. So both all of the MAGA supporters and the far, far left might think that corporations don't have our best interest at heart and the government is corrupt and captured by lobbyists. You'll see a lot of overlap there.
Right.
I think that sometimes there's a couple things. One, this is something I feel like I've discovered. People have no principles. I think that people are largely guided by whatever is kind of satisfying them or making them feel good at the time. I think something. That's another thing where I'm not sure if people actually care about gigantism or if they're using it as a proxy for other things that they don't like. Like, I could totally imagine
Well, I care about it.
Sure. Yeah, you might. Yeah, sorry. It just mean in general.
That's okay.
Because like I could imagine somebody saying that like they don't trust like a large government, they think there's too much prone to tyranny or something like that, but also be supportive of an institution like the Catholic Church, which is literally one guy who is a direct line to God.
But they can't tax.
Well, I mean,
and they don't have a military. They can't conscript you.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And they can't throw you in jail.
Ooh.
That is true. Yeah. I mean,
ooh. Did you guys watch that? Oh my God. Destiny gives an example of a Catholic Church being an institution that conservatives like to uphold. And then Jordan Peterson is firing back like they don't tax, they got no military, they got nothing, they don't force people to do things. Oh my God. Destiny, they got you. Ooh.
Those are major and significant. I mean, I get the overlap. Don't get me wrong.
Sure. But I'm saying, like, even if you had a local government, like if you had a state government or a tribe, usually they've got some form of enacting punishment. It'll be sometimes more brutal, but they can throw you in jail. Conscription hasn't existed in the U.S. since the Vietnam War.
Yet.
I mean, yeah, true.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I think that, I guess when I look at...
let's go back to to the redistribution issue. I mean, we pay 65% of our income at, say, upper middle class to upper middle class level in Canada. It isn't obvious to me at all that money is well used. In fact, quite the contrary. In my country now, our citizens make they produce 60% of what you produce in the US. That's plummeted over the last 20 years as state intervention has increased. I'm not convinced that the claim that the interests of people who lack opportunity are best served by state intervention. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, first of all, I'm aware of the relationship between inequality and social problem. There's a very well-developed literature on that, and it essentially shows that the more arbitrary, the broader the reach of inequality in a political institution of any given size, the more social unrest. So where all people are poor, there isn't much social unrest, and where all people are rich, there isn't much social unrest. But when there's a big gap between the two, there's plenty, and that's mostly driven by disaffected young men who aren't very happy that they can't climb the hierarchy. There are barriers in their way. And so there is reason to ameliorate relative poverty. The problem with that, to some degree, is that most attempts to ameliorate relative poverty tend to increase absolute poverty, and they do it dramatically. And the only solution that we've ever been able to develop to that is something approximating a free market system. I wouldn't call it a capitalist system because I think that's capture of the terminology by the radical leftists. It's a free exchange system, and the price you pay for a free exchange system is you still have inequality, but the advantage you gain is that the absolute levels of privation plummet. And I think the data on that they're absolutely conclusive, and that's been especially demonstrated in the radical decrease in rates of poverty since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1989, because we've lifted more people out of poverty in the last 4 decades than we had in the entire course of human history up to that date. And that's not legal.
Oh man, when Jordan Peterson is dropping these bombs in the statistics, I'm just glad that Destiny is listening, just like I am. I don't know about you guys, when Jordan Peterson is talking, I want to listen because I want to learn, because I know nothing. For he who knows nothing will learn something, right? Did that rhyme, guys? So, but anyway, I agree. The reason I agree because the whole thing of now I understand if some people are really doing bad, give them some money here or something. But my point is maybe they should kind of work for it somehow. Or maybe I even like the whole thing of we're gonna pay you to go to school to learn a trade or a skill to make you earn even more money after you finish school. Rather than you don't want to go to school, but we're still gonna pay you, just give you money to leave because you don't have a good enough skill to earn a good income. You know what I mean? So the whole thing of let's just get money from the rich and give it to the poor because they're doing so bad, and then giving them free money is going to help. No, get the money. Sure, if you get it from the rich, put programs in place that are going to help the poor skill up. All right, learn a skill or some kind of school, something. That way, once they learn the skill or trade, they are in position to now earn a better salary or income. But the whole free money thing, I don't agree with. So there you go.
Least because the statist interventionist types who argued for a radical state-sponsored redistribution lost the Cold War, right? And that freed up Africa to some degree, and certainly the Southeast Asian countries, to pursue something like a free trade economy. And that instantly made them rich, even China. So that's an argument, let's say, on the side of free exchange, but it's also an argument, a twofold argument, pointing out how we ameliorate absolute poverty, which should be a concern for leftists, but doesn't seem to be anymore, by the way, and also an argument for the maintenance of a necessary inequality. Like, I'm not sure that inequality can be decreased beyond a certain degree without that decrease causing other serious problems. And we can talk about that, but it's a complicated problem.
Yeah, for one point of clarification, when you say leftist, what do you mean by that?
Well, I was going with your definition, like essentially the core idea being something like the central problem being one of relative inequality in distribution of resources, and the central solution to that being something like state-sponsored economic intervention. I mean, there's other ways we could define left or right, and we can do that. But, I'll stick with the one that you brought forward to begin with.
Gotcha. Okay. I only want to be clear on that because people get mad if I call myself a leftist. Oftentimes online or in, especially
Destiny, I don't think anybody gets mad at you for calling yourself a leftist. And the reason I say that because at least you are calling yourself something, but also you stand on it. So that's one thing I like about Destiny. Once he says something, he stands on it. He preached open relationships or open marriages. He stood on it until it didn't work out for him. So I like that about him. If he stands on something, whether it's true or not, he's at least going to try and defend his position, right? So, and the reason I even love this debate is because, sure, to me, this is my opinion, Jordan Peterson is way more learned and experienced. Obviously he's older and smarter and a good orator, better than Destiny. But at least Destiny even accepted the challenge to sit down with Jordan Peterson and have this discussion. Now, I don't want to play the whole thing. The whole thing, as you guys can see, is 2 hours. So link down below, go to Jordan Peterson's channel and watch the whole thing. But comment down below where you guys disagree with me, where you agree with Destiny, whether you agree with Jordan Peterson, what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Comment down below. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.